Hey yo, G Dash, boy, take your hat off. Fine. This week on Hats Off with G Dash Jones. I know what we doing. Let's get woo! Y'all know this Hats Off. It's your boy G Dash Jones. Let's get it. Woo! Y'all know I start off with the bops. Okay, hold on. I said possibly my biggest mistake wasn't thinking consciously. Love get you killed. Possibly my biggest mistake was not thinking logically. I'm starting to show off with Mick Shante. Hey, shouts out to McGinn. Mick Shante in the building. Oh, this is called Yours Truly. It's on all DSPs. Go and get these vibes. Yo, she float over this joint right here. Listen again, that was Mick Shante, yours truly. Bars crazy. Go and get yourself that right now. She's streaming that in a way that's gonna build your soul. I need you to go ahead and vibe with me. Okay, go and get yourself some. Treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. Mick Shante vibes. All right, Mick Shante, yours truly. Now, this is Hats Off with G Dash Jones. That's a fact. Tonight's episode. Oh, listen, I'm having my first poet on the show. That's a fact. I ain't had a poet on the show yet. I didn't had rappers, lyricists, all types of stuff. Shouts out, I had a couple poets technically, but they also rapped, right? This time I got a classical poet. Like that's what he do. He do poetry, bang, right? But he's not just a poet. Like he does poet. He actually runs this whole situation where they actually get together and do writing together. What? Yes. Online writing workshops. These things are real. They really do happen. I'm making it my business to try to highlight some of these things. He runs open mics virtually, right? Shouts out to the poetry battles. Shouts out to Gwan Wednesday. I apologize if I mix up the accent, but that's what it is, right? Okay. He got Wagwan Wednesday. He co-hosts the poetry battles. He got Six Poet Society. That's a fact, y'all. Yeah, he got all the vibes, all the things, having all the conversations. So I felt like it's only right that I bring him up here and we can get into it. Like I said, it's my first poet. I'm making it my business to highlight different creatives that do these virtual things, right? So you will see these the same way when y'all see G Dash, update your calendar. Whenever I do that, check them out, because not only will there be local events to Delaware, but they're going to be different virtual open mics, different virtual sessions that everybody can benefit from, that you too can hop on and work out your craft and improve at your craft, right? So check them out. I'm making it my business to highlight some of these virtual situations so that everybody can benefit from, what has been brought to us, okay? So with that said, also gotta let y'all know what I'm doing real quick. So you see me, I'm here every Thursday at 8:30 currently for Hats Off, interviewing different folks. Also, what you'll see is, G Dash update your calendar. But tomorrow I'm over at the MKT Place Gallery local for a glow in the dark art exhibit. I'm doing a moderation where I'm interviewing the artist. Her name's Velvet Poindexter. There's going to be food. Shouts out to DJ Barboni. There's going to be music. It's going to be an entire energy. Shouts out to Chef Rail for the grub. Sarah Crawford put this whole situation together. I'm just going to be moderating the vibes. You heard me? I might drop somebody might give me a word. Who knows what happens? I don't know. But for now, right, I'm far and wide across the world. You know what I'm saying? My man, go by the name of Ram Rocks Speaks.
What up, what up, what up, what up?
What's good with you, brother? How you feeling?
Can't complain, can't complain.
Man, listen, I'm happy to have you here, right? I'm gonna tell you. Now let me start off. I'm gonna have you just tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Cool. Well, for those who don't know, I am Ramon Carty, aka Ramrock Speaks, aka there's a lot of AKAs, but Jamaican-Canadian poet, um, leader, community leader, um, marketing specialist. The list continues. You want to know about me? I born and bred in Jamaica. Came to Canada when I was around 16, and I've been here ever since. Um, and I do this poetry thing. I do that poetry thing.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes, you do that poetry thing. You may know this story because I did tell it to you, but I'm gonna tell it to you again.
Hmm.
The reason why I had to have you on my show, why you were the first poet, and don't get it twisted. I know a lot of dope, amazing poets that deserve to be on here too, because it's not a
Hmm.
slight. People take shit stuff weird, and I don't want to.
Right.
The reason would make me bring you on, right? It was a mixture between the shows that the entities that you have going, right?
Hmm.
Six Poet Society, right? I'm big on how are entities not only helping themselves by being dope, but how are they building others, right?
Hmm.
And you have got entities that are building others while allowing people to grow and not be judgmental. And I hopefully my best bet is to be able to have a different poet on this show who is running these things throughout the month, right? Deep Thought, you going to be on the list. You know what I'm saying? Just so you know, you on the list. The Poet Has Spoken. What they doing over there? They on the list. I'll be JC. That whole world. Wow. Listen. I want to because the world knows that you spit. The world knows that you host. The world don't always know that you organize. The world don't always know that you build, that you grow, and that you pour into the community. And if I can give an opportunity for people to know that y'all pour into the community, it's like, wait, let's go here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And
Right.
you specifically, I didn't even know your style was so different from mine. I remember one time we had a conversation, and that's what really got through me. I was like, a lot of people sound different, but your style is so different than what I'm used to because it goes into such a classical way, and that makes me have to even ask you, what kind of led you on your poetry journey? How'd you get into this space?
Um, so as I said, born and bred in Jamaica, British Commonwealth, British educational system. Um, they taught us the classical poetry, English literature, and all the English language, um, focused on classical white men and women poets. That was just the British Commonwealth system. Um, that being said, I haven't had a knack for like debate and drama and the arts. So when I got, there was a special teacher that got me. He's like, "Oh, read this and tell me what you think." And I was like, "Oh," and this was Shakespeare, right? So I was like, "All right, cool. This is dope." And we're gonna formulate a play. But I got into it because I was like, no one else was gravitating to it, and I wanted to be different. Um, I wanted to be different, and I loved the English language. I was in spelling bee. I was in all these things that led me to this. I was like, I'm gonna do poetry. At the young age of at 12 or 13, I said I'm gonna pick up and I'm gonna write. And technically it was just because I thought poetry was all about love, right? Like, see if I can get the girls, right? I thought it was just about love and stuff, and going through the motions, you're like, oh, it's about life. It's about everything that's going on, and a lot of us are so we especially as men, we don't show this side unless it is uh negative. It is there's so many different emotions that we tend to have bottled up, and we have no outlet or medium to let it out. So I got into it literally because of schooling, but I kept on because I watched the greats. I fell in love with R&B and soul and music, and I was like, this is just poetry, just in more rhythmical, and with music behind it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so in school, you being introduced to poetry and classical poetry, when I'm even curious, when was the first time you heard or saw a black poet of some sort, like in Africa, like of any kind, like any kind of black poet?
So because of um the poetry, I was like, none of these people look or sound like me. I'm Jamaican. Um, in I think in grade 9, um, I ventured into African um, poets. and I was like, okay, there's more out there. There's more out there. There's a lot more to see. The first um, black poet I could say I really read was Saul and Maya, Saul Williams, Maya Angelou, just because it was easily and readily available. Um, then I got into like Harlem Renaissance because you get into a deep dive, right? Well, once you get to that, and then the biggest thing about it is you read these poets and then you try to find out their history. And when you find out their history, you realize, oh, they're linked to so many other poets and so many other dignitaries of that era. Then you start going down, right? And then that's when you had to literally research it. It was before the internet. You know what I mean? It was like going to the
Right.
library, and they had a section which was just poets. Then they started categorizing it. African American poetry, African poetry, English poetry, Scottish poetry. You know what I mean? So then I was like, oh, there's more. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Wow, you literally had to go to the library and go through sections of poetry to get to black poets. It wasn't, and the dopest part about that to me, or it's not dope for you, it
Is
kind
that
of,
I'm
but
Jamaican?
yeah, because you're Jamaican, it starts at a place of like shouts out to Gil Scott Heron, but they
Oh,
weren't put before you. Nikki Giovanni wasn't put before you. Like I was raised in a place where Langston Hughes and Jordan L. Hurston and
right,
Ryan, they were put before me.
right.
Like it wasn't that, and even in that world. So then you wound up partially even connecting to R&B and soul music, which is written in poetry to a certain extent, because that's where you saw the representation.
Exactly. I saw I saw Babyface, and then I listened to Babyface, and I'm like, this Negro can write,
Right.
and I feel, and I'm like, oh, so this is what it's all about, right? And I don't have to be, you know, pompous and an upturned nose with my poetry. I can be me, but still take away the classical form and the true art behind it, and not just be, for lack of a better term, a street poet.
Oh, wow. So now here's what's interesting
All
because you
right.
just said some things that,
I
that that
know.
got to me. I didn't see
I
coming.
know.
Even in that world, I guess even you being in Canada, right? So in America, we have a perception of what Canadian is, right?
Right.
And we outside of Drake, y'all just so nice in general, right? That's what we assume. We don't know it's
Right.
real,
Right.
okay? And then being Jamaican in itself, both of those things combined, we don't realize that the British is such a powerful force that the way that they receive poetry and art comes with the nose in the air, comes with that. Oh, it has to be up here. Like we, because that's not even, we don't even know that that's the thing. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a higher, I won't say a higher regard, but they placed poetry in an elitism space over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Huh? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh,
do they have street poets? Like, or how
oh,
does that even?
absolutely. Well, that's the thing, right? Canada is such a diverse and multicultural country, especially in Toronto. Um, Majority of the is a diaspora of the Caribbean, or from Africa, right? Or like obviously from other European countries, but um, because we sought out the Tony Morris, we sought out the Langston Hughes, we sought out the Claude McKays, we sought out all these people. Then we're like, I'm gonna try and mimic, and then the era of internet came, and then we're like, whoa, there's all these old videos, and I'm glad for Shauna Gilheron and Nikki Joe. That era came, and you're like, oh, there's all these poets and they're spitting. They're actually speaking these words, not just writing. Because I considered myself a page poet for God knows how long. All right, I was like, this is what it is. I write on the page, I read it. This is great. I put it. I'm gonna publish it. I'm gonna read a book. That was all. That was a plan. And then you go out and you see all these different things. You're like, oh, I can be a rapper technically, because poetry is just rhythm. I mean, rap is just rhythm and poetry. That's the
Yes.
acronym, right? So we're rapping, but not sounding like the the conventional rapper, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but in the other sense, like under the British rule in Jamaica, yeah, English, because we have a dialect, right? We have our own patois, right? We have our own language, but in school we dare not speak it. In school, amongst your friends, yes, but in school you're addressing teachers, you're addressing everything. You speak the Queen's English. That's
Oh.
how it was. It's called the standard English. That's how you spoke. So it's funny when you hear the accents and you're like, oh yeah, you're not from here. But in school, we had to learn the Queen's English. We had to speak the Queen's English. We were graded in the Queen's English. We had to. Everything was in the Queen's English.
So did you write in the Queen's English, or did you write? So initially, when you wrote your poetry wasn't even written in your own patois.
No.
Okay, okay. So even though it was expression, there were still these lines that were kind of created from the construct that put you into this bucket to say, hey, if you're going to create, you got to create for this way for it to be respected.
Right.
Wow.
That's it.
So how was American perceived? Because we didn't have those lines. We kind of was just doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like artistically. Wow.
Right. So that's when we were able to like um tap go into the the Renaissance. When the Renaissance happened, Harlem Renaissance, and I read those poetry. I was like, hold on. What was even funny about it, right, is like even the Jamaican born poets that migrated through that whole exodus wrote in the Queen's English. Claude McKay, all real hardcore Jamaicans, they wrote in the Queen's English. So you look up to those guys and you're like, oh, that's what they're doing. But they're from my roots, right? Now, when you looked at, I was like, oh, now it was a revolutionary era, right? After when the Harlem Renaissance was a revolutionary, so I was like, okay, not only can I talk about love and life, but I can talk about injustice and I talk about uprisal. So now amalgamation of all that, including the hip hop and rap that I know and the R&B that I love, that birthed Ramrock Speaks, that birthed all different types of writing styles, and I was like, oh, I won't just conform to one. I'll just grab and like true artists, they don't they they don't imitate, they mimic a little bit to try and make it better. That's what artists is. Like you look at something, you're like, oh, I like this. How can I do it better? Right? I understand what you said. I'm idolizing certain things that you did, but I want to make my own lane, and that's what true artistry is.
Right. Okay. Okay. So now we're in this world, right? You're not only are you creating poetry, you've been impacted by the art of it. You've seen kind of the world view of it to a certain extent.
Right.
What made you say like this is my thing? Like I'm gonna do this maybe even for life. Like I'm always gonna be a poet. I poet. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what it's like when you be like,
Right.
I am a poet. I
I'm
poet.
going to be the poet. Right.
Yeah. How did you get to that point of knowing that?
um, it was received well at a
Mm,
young age, and thankful for my parents for pushing that artistic side of me, right? Like my parents are academics, right? So like really account hardcore accountants, hardcore teachers, etc. But um I went into school for business and psychology, right? And then I did some lit. I did some literature and creative writing because why not? And then um they said do what you want, man. Like whatever it is that you want to do, don't let one thing like I would always say, man, they pushed it. They said, don't let life happen to you. You should happen to life. And that in itself carried me so far because, we all have our reservations when we're doing things. We're like, oh, do I want to put this out there? Oh, is it gonna because I mean we all when I started out, I didn't like when I started out, I was like, oh, this is roses are red, violets are blue. This was
right.
this was not good. But honing the craft and perfecting the craft and becoming comfortable is where I said, yeah, this is for me because I have the passion. I was always a reader, um, and I'm reading these works. Why can't I also write so that my stuff can be immortalized and read in the future, right? So
Wow.
I said, yeah, I'm going to stick with this. And yes, I have a full-time job. Yes, I do other things, but I poet. And that's going to be known. That's the legacy that's going to be left. If it's not anything else, that's the legacy that's going to be left.
That is so dope. Okay, so now even in that world, is there a difference in what made you say that, hey, I'm writing these things, and what made you say I'm comfortable getting on somebody's platform and performing, or getting on somebody's stage and performing? Because that's a whole nother entity. I didn't even realize that some people don't even deal with spoken word. They only deal with poetry readings, which are whole different modes, right? So what made you want to get into, I guess, kind of the theatrics of even, spoken word of it at all?
The 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 acting and the drama and the debate first. Um, that kind of paved the way because I didn't have that nerves. Um, and I'm a real straight shooter, man. Like I go up and I do my thing. If you don't like it, that's your problem. That's one thing you have to overcome. Don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, you're gonna be nervous because yes, you're still bearing it all and giving all your emotions and stuff. But I wrote for myself. I wrote to release. If one person gets anything from it, my job is done. If
Wow.
it if it sparks some sort of hate, if it sparks something, my job is done because the poetry is supposed to make you feel. It's supposed to spark something. So if you don't like it, why didn't you like it? There you go. That's what it is. So I was able to do what I planned out to do, right? So yeah, I was first considered page poet, but you know, a little bit before the pandemic, I was like, man, I'm doing these spaces. I'm hosting events. It was a mixture of like, because my brother and I have a company where we do like game nights collectively, and we have like grown-ups going to doing adult like kids games and like just a weeknight where we just go and vibe. And then I said, let me introduce some poetry into that, and it was well received. And I was like, I could do this. And then the pandemic hit, and then we couldn't do it anymore. And then I was like, oh, what is going to happen now? What am I going to do? Because I found a medium where I was like, I'm happy. I'm bringing people out. All these voices that need to be heard. What am I going to do? I just popped on Instagram and I saw that there was a poetry like group. There's a poetry collective. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this too. Start a live. Sat there by myself for 20 minutes in the room, just waiting for someone to pop up. And one person popped up. And when they popped up, then because they came on, and that was a great thing about the algorithm back in the day. Once you pop on, everyone knows that you're on, right? Everybody that's on your list. You weren't your list wasn't that like robust as they are now with like 5, 10,000 people. It was like 100, 300 people, and then everyone popped on. They'll know that you were on, and then all of a sudden there's all these people in the room, and they're like, "Oh, I spit poetry too. I want to try and read poetry. I was always trying to do this, but it came in a section where the pandemic was like, all right, can't go out and do it, but we still want to have that camaraderie. We want to have that, vibe, and that's how this was birthed. Instagram
Wow.
poetry
Wow.
back
Wow.
in 2020.
Okay. I have to ask this just because of human ego, heart. You're sitting there, you're sitting on a live. It's you by yourself. For a lot of people, they got like 5 minutes in them before they just shutting that down. I can't do this. It's too much. It's too nerve wracking. They get too subconscious about it. You said, screw it. I'm here, and we're gonna be waiting until somebody get here. What made you do that versus just like allowing the nerves to get?
First and foremost, what else was there to do? Everything was locked. Everything was locked down. We were all locked down. Like we couldn't listen, man. I know it was a little bit more lax in the States than it was here. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it was.
Um, they're pretty intense here when it came to the lockdown through COVID. Um, like you couldn't even you only way you could get up out of your seat at a restaurant is to go to the bathroom. The restaurants were so spaced out. Like there was like 10 people in the restaurant at a time, right? Like you couldn't go out. You couldn't do anything. So all right, if I do this and no one comes on, I'll be happy because I'll just go read some more my poetry. I'll just write here. Someone's bound to pop in. You know what I mean? Someone's bound to pop in, and that's what it was. It was more of, I don't care what anyone wants to do. If I'm just gonna sit here and write, that's what I'm gonna do. But someone did pop in, and that's what happened. And then they kept
Even
popping in, and then week after week they kept popping in, and then I was like, all right, we're gonna name this Wagwan Wednesdays because why not?
get Wagwan Wednesdays. Okay. So
So Wagwan means what's going on in Jamaican. It's like, what's up? What's popping? So I was like, Wagwan Wednesday. So I turned it out, hey, what's up? What's going on, guys? What are y'all doing tonight? Let's read some poetry. And it just became Wagwan Wednesdays. So that's
wow.
been running for 4 years straight now. Wagwan Wednesdays. Yeah, I miss a night here or there, but it's like steadfast.
Wow, that makes so much sense in how it was all kind of birthed and came together.
Mhm.
Do you remember who your first guest was? Just because I'm curious.
My first guest, funny enough, was a friend because they were like, "What are you doing here?" And it was Camille, who I host sports battles with.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I love when it
yeah.
works.
And then it just worked out in that way, and I was like, "All right, perfect." And then someone that I followed, um, in the was following just their portrait page for like, I want to say 4 or 5 years, just following the page, and then I pulled them up. I said, "Hey, I know you right. I've been following you. I've been reading you. I'll go in," and you just pull them up from the live. And it was CP Wright. She came up right after. And then, people who follow her and people who follow him. And then that was it. I
The
had people
network
in,
grew.
network just grew. I had people in the hospital battling COVID, battling all these things that are watching this. I have nurses watching me go live in the hospital with patients. That's and then it just grew, man. It just blew up. And then the support actually does huge because you're like, all right, I'm all about building. I was once at a point where I obviously did not want to share because it was mine. But then there's so many other people out there that don't know how to share. I don't know what the first thing or feel that their poetry is not good enough or wants to elevate their poetry. So I was like, I'm gonna make sure I go and support people and let them know what I think about their poetry, what I feel. And I'm not a professional, but I read a lot and I write a lot. So take it with a grain of salt. That's what birthed the other platforms. I don't know if yeah, that's so kind of how
Okay,
this whole thing
hold
came.
up, because
I know.
let's go here, because now, just because we're in a linear order, so now Wagwan Wednesday is birthed in the pandemic. You're starting to build this community of poets. What came next? Was it poetry battles, or was it going into Six Poet Society? Like, which was the next move?
So Six Poets Society was birthed first. Um, After one Wednesdays, Six Poets Society came when I was on the lives and watching these people online just reading poetry or someone's coming up and spinning. And I'm like, where the hell are the Canadians? You know what I mean? I'm like, I've seen people from all over the world. Where are the Canadians? I don't see y'all. So I started using hashtags. Toronto poetry, Canadian poetry, um, you know, Halifax, Nova Scotia poetry, whatever I could use to bring that in. And then lo and behold, Toronto poetry hit. And then when I tag it, if people follow that hashtag, they start seeing my stuff. I was like, oh, so you're in Toronto or you're in Canada? We're in Canada. Are you? Blah, 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 blah. One thing went to another. They started coming live. I started realizing how many of these people that are live are Canadian. Just didn't know. I just assumed everyone was from the States or whatever. So I said, nah, we're going to make a collective so that we have a shine as well. And it was me, Camille, Nathan, LG. There's just so many PPP, the pretty provocative poet. All of us are Torontonians, and we're like, all right, we're going to make this collective. And I wanted it so that I wanted to, the purpose of this was work together as a collective, grow your name, grow your poetry, do live events so that we can eventually get paid for doing our art.
Mm. So that was your vision from the beginning, was to be able to not only attract other Canadian poets, but to put yourself in a position where y'all can actually get funding and be paid for this.
Absolutely.
What was that? How was that process like to take it from now? Now you built up this virtual community of localized poets. What was it like to translate that group into live stages and start doing those type of performances and shows? How did that happen?
So, got the name. If y'all know Den Poet Society, got the name. I said the six, Toronto, the six Poet Society. Went online, registered that friggin' name. Okay? Well, registered that name. Opened a business account, registered that name. Right? Had a business plan, registered that. Then I was like, all right. I used to host these game nights and stuff at this venue. I wonder what they feel about me doing this. I mean, it's not like a party where a lot of people are going to come and pay and drink booze and, and do all these things. This is just poetry. Let's see what they say. They're like, yeah, man, come on, do whatever you want. No charge. What? All right, cool. Hey, yo, we got a venue. Tell everybody you know in the surrounding Greater Toronto area. We got a venue. Let's do this. People were driving an hour and a half because some of them were like, what the hell? Pandemic is lifting. We're doing all this. We got a venue. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. So that's what that was a vision with 6 months. It was a slow roll to get to it, man, to be honest, right? Because once again, moving from virtual to in live was a little tough because we're so used for 3 years being for 2.5 years being strictly online and not being able to go. So it's hard to move. And like location, right? It's 6 miles. That's why it's called the six. And we're not close. It's not close, right? And there's little outskirts. Like I'm on the outskirts. There's a lot of people that are on the outskirts of Toronto. And it's not like 5 minutes away, 20 minutes away. Some of these stations are an hour, 2 hours away drive. Right? So to be able to host an event and bring that many people out and bring a collective of people out that are driving so much, it was tough, but we got it done. We got it done. Now, on the Poetry Battle side, when
Wait,
I was on screen.
pause for 1 second. Pause 1 second. How did that translate? Because it starts off, but then you get this venue. But so did you then charge at the door, or how did finance come into play? Because now, especially when you got poets driving but like money needs to be around. So how did you then generate funding in that space?
So eventually, I started charging people at the door because I didn't have like at that given time. They were like, "Yo, we just reopened. We need people to come and buy drinks at least or buy food." And the good thing about this place, it was a West Indian restaurant, right? So the music will be there, the food will be there, and the drinks will be there. As long as I'm making sure that the bar is being attended to, I charged. I charged a small little fee, $10, $10 for the night, and you come and you spit poetry. You sign up on the open mic list, and you have a guest feature for the night, and the guest feature would get a change at the end of the night. Here you go, bud. Thanks for, and then you just kept doing that, and then that translated because then, oh, you know what? I know some poets too that would love to come and do this. Oh, let's go to their venue. So a bunch of us would all go to their venue and show up at their venue. And then just vice versa. We just kept doing that. So every little borough, every little area, we went around and said, all right, this is us. Then we start getting booked for stuff separately.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
So then, oh, you have something for a specific event? This person lives in that area. Use them. This person lives in that area. Use them. You want me? Okay. Can I bring this person? All right. I'm coming. I'm bringing this person. Then we started curating workshops. And with the workshops, that's where people would come out. It was free. The workshops were free. And then you'll write and you'd leave with finished pieces of poetry that will then have an open mic after that. You will spit the stuff that you learned or you wrote.
So the dope thing about and sometimes, just so you know, Ram, I gotta talk to my people, just so y'all know. Hey, here's how this happened, right? He created a self-sustaining situation, right? Because first, once you start building the community, then you start taking the community to venues where they're gathering and doing the thing. By the way, once they see you doing that, then they know you can pack a house, even if y'all packing a house with the rest of them. Ta-da. So now, because you're able to show that you can do it, now they want to book you because they know you can bring people to these places, which is true because you have a community. Then, in order to then have new ones that can still come up, then we create the writing workshops. So for those who can create a pipeline, because some people are going to leave, some people are going to stop, some people are going to travel. Cool. So how we can keep fresh blood keep coming into this, we'll create writing workshops where they are then writing, finishing the work, getting on a stage, and learning how to practice all of these things throughout this same six poet society, which then does have a criteria of Canadian poets to keep it within a like in-house realm in a place to build. So take that down, okay? You don't know what you're doing, jot that down, because that's how you build and win through community. All right, sorry, bro. I had to just talk a
Nah,
little
nah,
real quick.
nah. All good. All good. So on the lives, like the Gwan Wednesdays, I got approached. Someone was on the live one night and they popped up and they did a poem and um, they caught the vibe and then they're like, hey man, I really like what you're doing. I said, all right, cool man, thanks, appreciate it. Um, Literally the next day, I got a message saying, um, so I am the CEO and the executive offer of Poetry Battles. We would love for you to have a show and join the team. And this is how it goes. And I said, okay, what kind of show? That's on you. You do what you wish. Um, but you have a night. Tell me when you're free. I was like, all right, perfect. I'm free Saturday evenings. Okay, before I go out because I used to love to hit the. I love to dance, man. So like my weekends were strictly for dancing. All right, Saturday I like to go out, and that was my gym. So I was like, Saturday evenings, right before the clubs, I can do some poetry. Called Keneal. I said, Keneal, hey man, we're gonna do this together. Saturday, and it was like, all right, so we called it Mus-aic Saturdays at that time. And what we did was bring people up, interview, and it would go through like poetic devices. Like today we'll talk about personification. We'll read some poems about personification, then we write together. And then next week you bring it back. We might talk about haikus this week. We might talk about this. We might talk about extended metaphors. We might talk about entendres. Whatever it was, we brought up poets in the community, have them like ones that we think work like that was their bag. Like if it was their hardcore extended metaphor bag, you're coming up and you're gonna help curate this live for the night. Um, that's how Mus-aic started. And then Saturday became rough because I'm like the summer came and I'm like, all right, I ain't gonna be here. Like I want to do some day parties now. I ain't gonna do Saturdays. That's enough for me, man. I can't do Saturdays. Can't do Saturday. And I was like, hold on. I don't have anything to do on a Monday after work. I don't have it. And people hate Mondays. So usually you come over, you're like, oh man, the week starts. All right, Mus-aic Mondays. It is because we'll have people come up. There'll be more people because Saturday most people will be out or doing things with family. On a Monday there'll be more people. Get a bigger audience, and then write on screen together. So take what we did in person now virtually, which is so crazy to me because it started virtual, went into live, and then we came back into virtual with the things that we used to do live. And I didn't think it would fly, man. To be honest, I was like, we're gonna write together on screen. Okay, here's 10 minutes. Like, everyone's gonna write. Okay, sure. Like I thought it was just gonna be me and the co-host writing. And then every week the numbers were climbing. It's like 20, 30 people in the room, and they're all writing. And then I'm in the lives, and I'm listening to lives, and I'm watching other people's lives, and people are coming up, and they're like, "Oh, this poem was written in Mus-aic Mondays," and I'm like, "Yo, hold on!" People are actually taking the homework, working on their pieces that they started and created with us, and just letting it flourish. All right, this is the cheat code. We're gonna do this, and this month is year 3.
Wow.
Poetry Battles, Mus-aic Mondays.
So something else, real quick. Got to talk to them.
Yeah.
By the way, secret sauce that he did this. What he did was he took the schooling knowledge of all that history that he looked up, all that history that he knew, and all that history of art that he knew, and then said, "How about I bestow this upon other people and use this information to utilize this with writing workshops, right?" And shouts out to Camille because he had to be knowledgeable too. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this knowledgeable space, and as opposed to just letting it sit, because we already love this thing, we're going to give it out to others and help build them up with this knowledge that we are sitting up with, that you would just think that would sit as stock information. But or only be used for his own writing. He used it to help build up other writers, right? And then they can kind of learn different styles and learn different forces. Which to me is amazing. Did you know about poetry battles before they reached out to you, or was that your introduction?
That was it. That was the introduction. I guess we were scouted. The editor in chief was in the live a couple times, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is just another poet. But it so happened she was scouting, and she saw, and she told the chief, and was like, hey, this is what's popping. So I'll give you a little bit of history of Poetry Battles. Poetry Battles is technically a group that created games, strictly battles of poets from all over the world. Here's some topics, here's some genre. Make a group of people. This is your team, that's your team, that's your team. And we're going to have kind of like a slam vibe, but like written and spoken. And we're going to, every month, we're going to do something, and y'all are going to battle it out to be the winner, to be crowned Poetry Battle champion. That's what it was. And then they had like interviews with like some real big names, man, like people from all over the world, like, and real like poets that have marked their name in the industry. And then it became a little hiatus. They got busy, things happened, pandemic ended, and it wasn't as tight. And I was like, but I'm not done with Mus-aic Mondays because I'm still here. So for the last almost 2 years now, the only content being displayed and broadcasted on Poetry Battles has been Mus-aic Mondays.
Wow. So as everything else fell off, partially because you were building people up through yours, you weren't just competing. They weren't really competing at all. They were being built up and pouring into them. It's what was able to sustain when everything else went away.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Now, in that world, I'm actually kind of curious for you. When you're doing this, is there a difference Do you notice a difference in your room when people are doing like slam versus doing spoken word?
Absolutely.
What would you I love this. What would you say is the
Absolutely.
difference?
There's three, man. There's three differences. Tell you this. There is the page poet, there's a slam poet, and there's a spoken word poet. Slam poet. Slam poetry is usually timed. You have 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. That's usually how it works. I have to be able to be sharp enough to pack punches within this period or within this time slot. I rely on the audience. That's slam poetry. Sorry, don't hit me, anyone out there that's slam poets, but that's what it is. You have to be able to hit me where it hurts or provoke me or evoke something within that time period for me to be like, yeah, okay, I mess with you. That's slam poetry. Competitive sense, yes, love the whole competitive vibe of it, but that's what it is. I'm nothing against slam poetry. If I wanted to, I could go recite some things for 1, 2, 3 minutes and do it myself. But that's just not. I don't have that drive to go compete like that. Spoken word poetry now we focus on cadence. Now we focus on moral and message entendres, punchlines. Now we're going to focus on these little things so that I'm in the audience, but I'm also letting out the emotion that I want to let out. I'm not appeasing anyone per se. I want to let this out for myself. If it hits, it hits. And I'm happy when it hits. And spoken word poets usually look in the audience and is like, focus on one or two people, see their expressions, and then they're at ease. That's when the nerves go away, right? You practice a piece for 19 times in the mirror. Practice 19 times. 19 is the number, by the way. If anyone ever asks you, it's 19. For 19 times in the mirror, and then you go. Once you know it now, you can play with the inflections. You can play with the cadence. You can play with the message. You can change the poem up and no one would know that you messed up because it's your piece and it's not slam. You don't have to worry with the time and this and that, right? That's why when we get featured in spoken word posts, they give you a full time slot. Hey, you got 10 minutes. Okay, with 10 minutes, then I can do maybe I can do 2 short ones or 3 short ones, 2 long ones, right? Now it's up to us to use that time. And then there's the page poet. This stuff needs to be read by a reader or audiobook, whatever. But this needs to be read. I need to see this so that I can go back. I can go back and ponder on a line because the spoken word is like this, right? Oh, shit, I missed it. Unless you're videotaping it, you're going to miss something. With a written word, you're there and you're able to resonate and like simmer on lines. And those are the classic poets. Not to say art and drama wasn't thinking. There was monologues and stuff, and that's kind of how it started, doing monologues and in the drama style. But when you're able to go and read your thing and then let it resonate and sit and stew on it, that's page poetry. So yeah, there's three different types. And all of them could be performative. One is just a really good reader. One focuses on the cadence, and one is there for the competition and for audience interaction.
Wow. And now again, so just so you don't know this, but I'm gonna tell you this. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why I asked you that for a couple reasons. Shout out to Origin of Thought, Angela. I know that was a question that I've heard come up in different rooms and things like that. But the bigger presence of that question is I wanted people to kind of get why, Mus-aic Mondays hits different, right? Because after the point in which, you can give out that type of knowledge, then they can go into a space of writing, right? Imagine getting that information and now everybody's collectively using that thought process and you're saying, hey, we're going to write, a spoken word piece, which means this piece is being written for the purpose of being spoken out loud that way, right? So we're taking that information and we're applying it to something different, and then they're going to do it right afterwards, which creates that workshop within itself, and that's how it hits. That's what Mus-aic Monday is, right? I kind of wanted people to kind of see kind of how that flow vibes and where that and how deep and in depth that information can go. Is it hard to keep coming up with different things to teach people and to connect with people about?
Actually, man, it's it's become um, a joy to try and find different things um, for people to learn and to write on. Um, Primarily because I'm always getting new people in the room. Um, they have some real like you know lifers in the poetry in Music Mondays. They're here. If I'm not on at 9:30 or 9 o'clock on a Monday, I'm getting messages like, "Where are you? What's going on? Are you on tonight?" Blah 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 blah. Blah. Like, and that's just warming, right? So it doesn't get hard if it's something you enjoy doing, right? And because I purposely um, discipline myself to write every day, I am honestly, for myself, I am always trying to level up my game. And with that, I'm also trying to impart what I know and take from what others know, right? Because this is a transaction, right? This is a constant transaction. I am not God's gift to poetry. I'm not a professional. I know a couple things. You may know a couple things. Let's meld all that information. I may not be great at spoken words or inflection and stuff. Let me pull that from you. I might be great at turning metaphors. I might be great at structure and stanza line and lines and pauses and breaks. Let me impart that on you. So there's always something new, and it gets the people involved because then I ask them for prompts, right? I said, okay, you give me some prompts and let's work on them together. And you get to highlight this for your week, and I said it once again, like it's so great because I'll be like, maybe I'm a lunch break or stuff and I'm listening to a live and someone comes up and they're like, yeah, or they're reading, there's reading lives, right? There's rides where people send in DMs and the DMs would say, oh, read the caption. And the caption says written in Mus-aic Monday, February 26th or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, this is dope, right?
Wow. Wow. So okay, right now, and again, shouts out to everybody who's tuning in. This is hats off for G Dash Jones. I got Ramrock Speaks. We done took y'all through a lot of the history of what led you of what led you here, Ram, and owning these spaces. And as I've said before, and I'll say again, I'm making it part of my purpose to add in an element where we can highlight different poets and creatives that are not only doing it for themselves but building the community. So that will always be that's an element that I'm adding to this hats off show. At least once a month, I'm trying to add that in. And I'm curious when because you've done these virtual stages and you've dealt with the live stages. What are some of the biggest differences that you've noticed from trying to manage this virtual world and not only in performancing but running not only for performing but running workshops virtually to then also running workshops and performing in person on stages? What are some of the differences that you've seen?
The passion. Um, I can portray whoever I want to portray online, virtually. You don't know me, I won't know you. This is me. This is my alter ego, right? On the virtual live, a lot of them you don't know. As I said, until recently, there was not many Canadians there. So when am I ever going to meet you to know if this is just, a facade, right?
Wow.
Versus sitting down and being with someone and seeing them really try to push the pen, really try to elevate. Um, and the best part of it, G Dash, is watching the growth. Because if you see someone comes in and you're like, you have a lot to say, but it's so convoluted right now. I want to know, like, tell me what you're saying without telling me what you're saying. Like, I really want you to like dig deep and tell me, and then, the next week they come with something else. I'm like, you got that. And then the next week they come with something else, and you're like, yes, now it's flourishing. Now I understand what you're saying. And then boom, they blew out your water. You're like, whoa, that's dope. And then because there's a lot of poets are hard on themselves. That's just part of our how we are. We are harder. Our artists we're super hard on ourselves. But if you have someone else there that's willing to listen and willing to take in and willing to tell you constructively, not just, hey, yeah, good job, that was dope, that was a great piece, I love to hear that, amazing. Sorry, that's not what I'm here for, and that's another thing, right? If you want to better the craft, better the craft. Um, that's the difference. In the space, luckily in the space, um, I mean, I can trim the fat now, knowing like who's there in the virtual space. And trim the fat who knows there's just just a pastime, just really is a hobby or really wants to do it, and everyone is welcome. But in the live space, it's such a joy when I see the growth from day one to day 20, from show one to show five. And that's warming. And it's also, and another thing is warming is like when I actually get those DMs after the lives and someone says, yeah, man, I really needed that time today. I really needed this space today. Something was really on my heart and I did not know how to let it go. And, you were able to let me do this. You were able to let me reach that side of me that I was afraid to reach to. Um, I got to tap into a vulnerability that I didn't know I had. That's kind of what I take from it. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but the difference is the passion that I can actually see, like in front of me. I was like, okay, this is true. This is the true passion of trying to get better and trying to grow the art.
Yes, yes. To me, what's so dope about you saying that, and as I perform virtual, I perform live, I
Right.
write, and I improv. But what I'll say, being in those spaces, right? One of the things that shocked me, right, that made me move different was you've heard me do improv several times, and then
Mhm.
literally I had to highlight the moment that I came into your room and it was on a Monday, and it was a Music Monday, and you was like, here's the prompts. Because by the way, outside of what we didn't mention is he also gives prompts. If you go to this page, you can see his prompts, right? 8 words too. It wasn't no light stuff. Okay, it wasn't nothing light. It's 8 words in the prompt. You gotta be ready to go. And I was like, and I looked at you. I remember I think I might have put it in the comment, and I was like, so you mean I gotta write? Right? And he was like, yes, G Dash, I want you to write. And he was like, I mean, I'm playing, but you wasn't playing really. And he was like, I was like, okay, wow. And like, it was, for me, because I don't, it's not that I don't write, I just don't write unless I feel I have purpose or inspiration, right? I don't just go. And that was the moment where it was like, all right, let's go, right? It is so funny to me because even how, you heard the poem, and after I did it, for me, my goal was using the words and kind of somersault and dancing with it. It came with a different depth because that's just what it does when you're writing and you care about the premise. Which the same thing with me when I do improv. I care about the premise. So it's always
Right.
gonna come with a premise to it.
Mhm.
But me playing with the words comes into a different space. Um, into that. So I just want to thank you kind of for that and even put me in that space. But I was like, all right, maybe I need to do something with prompts and kind of live into that to build it out. And that actually makes me even ask you this. What I've learned, and I didn't learn this from me, I learned this from the world here. But this poetry thing virtually comes with politics, comes with people who don't interact well, comes with stuff that to me, I've heard Dope people being told, well, you'll never be able to host a live. And I'm like, how could you never host a live? It's on Instagram. You hit the stop button and then you host it. But how did you navigate, or did you have to ever deal with any of these weird politics from this art
In
scene?
the beginning, yeah. In the beginning, there was politics. You gotta look at it this way. There's time zones.
Okay.
Um, there is slots. There is like a portrait night where everyone's on. There's lots of open mics, which is Wednesday. Wednesday seems to be the open mic poetry night. Um, there's different shows every day, right? Don't get me wrong, but there's some days that the mics are big, and um, I've had, you know, I've had my, as I said, I've been doing poetry, music for so long, and Gwan for so long. There was times where like all of a sudden these things are popping up, and like you're sending me your flyer for your show that is mimicking the time that I'm doing my show. And kudos to you. I'm here for it. But I got my show.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
not only that, there is the there's the politics is like, oh, that person isn't great, or that person is not good at doing this, or this collective is clicky, and they only read each other, and they only bring in each other on the interviews, they only vibe with these people. And I was like, listen, y'all don't know me. um I'm not into all that. I'm here to grow community. And I will say this again, man, like people throw that word community around so often, and loosely. It's to commune together, unity, communing together. That is what it means. I will want, you mean to tell him the truth? You mean to tell him, I want to make sure that everyone gets a piece. Everyone should be able to eat. Everyone should be able to get a piece of the pie. Everyone should sit down together and vibe. Like, if I have a show and you want me to come on, I'll bring the whole multitude of people that I have to come into your show. I don't think they don't understand that's how community works, right? I'm not gonna like go and be like, oh well, don't go to this live, because it happens. It's happened. I've seen it. I've heard it. People message me in the back end, and I'm like, I just can't fathom. It's just not in me.
Whoa, pause. I'm so sorry. You've heard people say or seen messages where they said, hey, such and such is doing a live, don't go?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Oh,
happened,
that's
man. Things have hell. There's some crazinesses that happen, and that's, yeah. That's, it's so hard for me to fathom it, and that's why I was like, hey man, everyone's reason for doing things is different. For me, I'm happy if I have one person in my life, two people in my life, 20 people in my life, regardless of how many people that come to my shows. I'm happy because at least I'm touching one soul. At least I'm bettering one soul. At least I'm able to have a show, and it's been long running. Like, whatever everybody wants to say, whatever, regardless of how many. I may have a night where I have 5 people in the room, and you best believe it's going to be a damn good night, right? Because then I get to read some of my stuff as well, as opposed to like, because that's the thing as a live host, doing these things, you don't get to read yourself often. You're listening to a lot of people. You're listening to everyone do their thing, and you don't get to. So then I have the 5 people that are in the room are like, hey man, we want to hear from you. We don't get to hear from you often. Then I'm like, yes, of course. I have my own mini show here, right? But I don't look at that stuff, man. I don't care for that drama. I'm here for a completely different reason. It's to leave a legacy of community building, And true art and true poetry community, as I said, commune together, not apart, not sometimes, not maybe, together all the time. That's why that's what I do. There's gonna be some people that don't like me. I don't mince my words. We're poets. Sorry, I write a lot and I speak a lot. Ramrock speaks. That's what it is. I'm gonna say how I feel all the time. All the time, irregardless. I'm here for community and building. And yeah, the peanut gallery can do what they do. Um, I have an allergy for peanuts, so I just stay away.
Allergy to peanuts. I love it. I love it. The peanut gallery can do what they do because I'm allergic to peanuts. You heard me? That is fire. Okay, I'm here for it. Shouts out to that, and kind of like not even giving credence to that negativity or
No,
that
but you
overly
gotta you
competitive
gotta mention it.
spirit.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, not giving credence, but it happens, and we look past that because we're bigger than that, right? That's how I look at it. We're bigger than that. It happens. Recognize it, but keep it over there.
Yes, yes. I'm beyond. Like again, I get some spaces I'm naive in. This space is the space that I am. Like I've been doing poetry for years, but I didn't realize. Like I was like, oh wait, there's open mics. Oh wait, no, there's a world of spoken word workshops, open mics, all these things, all the things that are virtual. And I was like, wait, what? And you literally don't know until you're a part of it, or you're involved, because otherwise you just think. And honestly, even this, there's an aspect. This is a aspect. Shouts out to the tag app and some of the folks that be on that app doing things, Clubhouse doing that thing. Like there are worlds of poets in this virtual arena that are just like doing things. And
Exactly.
I've seen you. One of my favorite things that I've seen you do. I've seen you do it recently. Shouts out to Albie, JC, in that whole world. I
Yes.
forget what their thing is called, but that whole world, you were there, and they was like, oh yeah, it was about to wrap up the live, and you were like, I'm not starting mine until you're done yours, just out of respect, right? And that's out of respect for the poets who are in this house, so we don't have to step on each other. You know what I'm saying? And it's not any shade to anybody else who was running at that time,
Right.
because good for you, run. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
because we people, I'll wait for you to end because you're the homie, and then fine, then you come on through, and keep everybody moving and keep everybody dope. So I just applaud that, because that's where that unity and community comes into place so heavy. So
I'm glad you saw that because that's a regular thing. Um, that show is supposed to end at 9:30. My Wagwan Wednesday starts at 9:30. I'm usually I'm a part of Poetry Club, right? I'm in that live normally and I vibe with them until the time is up. And I'm like, and if it so happens that there's so many people, because Instagram's been funky lately, like it's not allowing enough people to come up. After a while, you have to restart lives, restart. So if you didn't get enough people on, hey, finish off at Wagwan Wednesdays. So then it's like a raid back in like COVID times when there was Twitch, and
yep.
you raid. That was kind of what it was. You raid, and that's kind of that's the community that we're talking about, right?
And it's the same thing that, if people don't know, it goes back to the same thing that you did in live, like literally in person, right? Because it became, hey, we're all here. And then because you built that Six Poets Society, then it would be such and such as over there. Now we're all going to that venue for that one too, right? And again, what people don't know, once you do this, proof of concept becomes built, then you become, you prove that you're of value, and then a price tag can be placed on it, bigger picture. And even in that club, they taking trips and cruises and stuff and doing things. And that's the game plan,
Right.
right? The game plan is to find funding, build it up, create something within that community that can't kind of be matched or masked. So that is phenomenal. Do you compete?
No.
Why not? Is there a reason why you're not? Or you just don't like doing that with the art?
Um, I've done it. My competition days are over. My competition days was in dance. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's another side of Ramrock. where the actual name Ramrock came from. It was in dancehall, reggae, competition dancing. So yeah, that was the competition. And then no, I went back into poetry. I'll do like there's a slam and like I'm asked to come do something. I'll do something, but I don't compete in poetry because um I just feel like it's an art form that just how am I gonna grade your self-expression like in emotional wise? Um like and I'm at the I'm at the gavel for the gavel falls depending on what mood that judge is in. And you know, is it the crowd that's judging this competition or is it just three people on the judges panel? Is it just four people on the judges panel? I may have resonated with everybody in the room and not with some judges, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And it happens. And by the way, yeah, it's vice versa, right? But on the competition side, I don't feel like that's my purpose is to compete. I feel my whole purpose in this whole thing is to build, make sure people are writing every day, make sure people are pushing the pen, sharpening their skills, coming together, and leaving a legacy of, hey man, this guy loved to write, this guy loved to read, this guy loved to make sure that everyone was doing the homework, honing their skills, and writing. So the competition aspect, I love to watch it because there's dope slam poetry. There's dope poets in that scene. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But for me personally, nah, I'm gonna like if I get a bad score, I'm gonna be upset, man. Like I'm gonna I'm gonna fight somebody. I'm gonna fight somebody. I'm
Right,
gonna
right,
fight
right.
somebody. Nah, it's just not for me. It's just not my bag. Not my bag. You never
I
know.
definitely I definitely understand that. I asked that, and I got a shout out. I was in a competition on Monday. Shout out
Yes,
to Saved by Grace.
yes.
Shouts out to Lene. Shouts out to Saved by Grace, KNR, or KR. It was such a dope competition. I was blessed to be able to kick it off. They wound up doing a second round tonight. So I can't wait to kind of see who won and who took that home because it was just the collective of poets in that
That
competition.
was
It
dope.
wasn't nothing but hey, it was like bit bars,
Oh yeah.
Again, for me, it becomes those things become art exhibits. That's literally how I thought of it, even going in because I don't compete a lot. Like I'm not, and what I do with improv is always a skill that I'm building. So I'll give myself like you don't know this, but a lot of people, well, most people don't know this. But when I do improv, I actually typically have a hidden mission in my head of a skill that I'm building. So anytime I'm in your open mic, majority of time there's something that I feel like I'm working on, even with the improv, because I just want to increase. I always want to be better at it. So it's always kind of like, oh wait, how can I do this? How can I shape this? Whether it be removing fillers, creating a story, calling my shot, knowing what I'm gonna talk about before it starts. But I'm always doing a thing, and those competitive spaces to me are always are interesting to kind of see and was interesting to be a part of. I think it was amazing to me to be able to kick it off. Wow, no, I didn't make it to the second round. I think I was perfect for to set the tone for the energy of an art exhibit, which is what
Mhm.
you saw from the collection of such dope poets that they had there. So I want to shout out to them. Saved by Grace, Lene, all of them. I plan on having having them up here at some point to kind of talk about what they put
Yes,
together.
yes,
But
yes, yes.
you that's what you get in those worlds. Also, I gotta ask you this: a book, Ramrock speaks, Ramrock writes. Where's the Ramrock book? Who we doing, man?
All right. So I'm glad you asked. Um, it's being edited right now. It's being ordered in the way I want it. The book will be released in March, as in next month, which is as in
I
like
got
the
the
month.
exclusive.
I mean,
I got the exclusive.
not all right. You didn't get the exclusive. I told Angela on Sunday, but
Okay,
you
I
get
got
to
part
know.
two.
Yes, you got part two. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It will
Wow, what's it
be
called?
coming out. This heart has eyes.
Oh, How long you been writing that thing? Or is it a collection of all of them? Like it's a collection of.
Man, this book should have came out 2 years ago. Book should have came out 2 years ago. But nothing happens before time, and that's how I look at it. I paused. I focused on self, focused on career, a little bit. And then I was like, nah, I need to get this out because how do I leave a legacy if I'm not going to immortalize some of these words, right? So it's been brewing for years, and then I just finally said this year. This year is a big year for me. This year is the big year, age-wise. This year's year 40 for Ramrock.
Right.
Y'all may not know that, but this is year 40. I may look young, but y'all know black don't crack. We sweet out here.
That's right. Talk about it.
We sweet out here. But yeah, this is year 40, and I was like, what better way to bring in year 40 with a gift to myself of poetry in written form.
Yes. Okay. So are pre-orders going to be available? They asking for it. The people talking. Listen. I'm just telling you what the people asking for.
All information will be released when it is. I'm very tight-lipped about certain things because that's how the universe works. If there will be pre-orders, y'all will know. If there's no pre-orders, y'all will know. It's coming down to the wire, right? It's next month. There's only 31 days. So y'all will know.
Okay. And so because of that, I don't want to dive too deep, but I do have a question.
Ask away.
When you were assembling your book, how did you pick and choose what would be the poems that you would highlight in the actual book itself?
Funny enough, all right, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. I was gonna self-publish, right? I was gonna self-publish. That was like a passion of mine. Self-publish, did it on my own, do it on my own. That's the stubborn Virgo in me. I'm gonna do it on my own. I'm a perfectionist. I don't want nobody reading my work and taking away meaning. Was what I wanted. That's the plan. That's how I was doing things. I have tons of poetry. I write every day, right? That's something I do religiously as a discipline. I have a lot of pieces. Some are mediocre, some are great, some are blah, some are just thoughts. But going through and reading everything and stepping away because I was going to theme it. I was going to theme the book. I was going to make it flow as a story. And then I said, no, I'm not going to pigeonhole my poetry. I write on so many different topics. I am going to sprinkle this with a little bit of everything that I do. There's going to be some pieces that should be spoken. There's going to be some pieces that should be read. There's people that should be listened to. There's going to be short pieces. There's going to be long pieces. There's going to be some prose. There's going to be long form, short form, free verse, rhyming, non-rhyming. There's going to be everything possible. And the pick and choose was how I felt about it, and the message that I wanted to portray. And by doing that, it forced me to be like, all right, there's got to be a number two book, and there's got to be a number three book, right? So it's like, okay, so these that didn't make it to this book will make it to the second, or vice, and that's kind of how I did it. It's like, all right, this is for book two, this is for book one, this is for book two, this is for book one, right? So that's how I picked it. It wasn't arbitrary, but there was some thought put into it, but it was all about me, what's true and real to me, and what I want to let out there as a inaugural book.
Wow. So that book essentially is a written representation of you.
Yes.
Okay, so now are they now, just so I know, I'm just curious, are they all together as a collection or under subheadings when you start to go through, okay, well, this is a section, this is a section, that's a section?
There's no sections.
Okay, it's just you dive into Ramrock Speak and then you see what Ramrock writes.
Purposely, as I said, I was going to do sections. I had plans. Like I have the chapters, like I already have it in my Google Docs, like chapters and how I wanted to do everything because I was gonna self-publish. But then I said, a publisher reached out to me and was like, your shit needs to be published, not self-published. I need it to be here. I need it to be in bookstores. I need it to be in airport cafes. I need it to be in coffee shops. I need it to be everywhere. And I need your poetry to win awards. Not to say that it can't do that on the self-publishing platform, but this is how you write, and this is your stuff needs to be heard on a larger scale. And I said, okay, you convinced me. So it is going to be published by a publisher.
Yes. By the way, and shouts out to all of that. There's a lot that you said. Do I want to highlight? Everybody tap into what he said, because he said some things that I don't even want to repeat. But he said some things that if you want to be, when you're getting award nominated, when you're trying to move through some way, to know your goal when publishing. Put it like that. There you go. Know your goal when publishing your book, and allow that to help you decide if you want to self-publish or not. Neither is wrong. I've written my book. I self-published. That's what was good for what I wanted to do for my brand and how I feel and how I maneuver. But depending on where you want your placement to be, you might need to understand and consider your options. Otherwise, you'll wind up doing it away and then being mad when it's not in certain rooms, not in certain realms, if that's what you're looking for. So always know what you're looking for before you leap into that space, right? Write your book, always write it, but figure out the pros and cons for where you want it to be and where it's going to best fit before you make a decision on publishing. That's important. Oh man, so many gems today. This is dope. All right. This is exactly what I wanted this conversation to be. I'm here. So with that said, I'm down to the last question of the night, which is, almost the last question technically. If you had to give advice, no, I'm sorry, I have one more question before I ask that one. How'd you get your name? How did Ramrock Speaks become the thing? Where'd that name come from?
All right, so very easy. In the dance culture, dance hall. For y'all who don't know, there was an era where it was like called daggering. Y'all need to Google that. Go ahead and Google daggering dancing. Then you come back and you're like, Ramon, you were having sex on the dance floor. That's what you were doing. Yeah, I understand, fully understand. But my name is Ramon, and Ram is why everyone calls me Ram. That's the shorting. That's because they see Ramrock, but Ram would be the short of Ramrock. Now, I'm from Jamaica, which is Jamrock. Ramrock from Jamrock. That used to be what it was when he right, and obviously speaks because we're speaking here. We're on lives. We're doing this, but the dance culture, it was a double entendre. It was also poetic, because the gyration and the bubbling and the grinding, ramming the rock.
Right. Okay. All right. You was out there. You ain't slammed nobody. I didn't see videos of people getting slammed and stuff. You was up there. You was picking them up and jumping and stuff. You was listen, shout out.
Yes.
They're ready.
Yes, that was me. That was me. That was me in the teens, in the early 20s, dancing all over the city, all over the provinces, traveling for competitions, etc. On top of the daggering style, like it was also like choreographed stuff and like stuff too. But like that was like a specialty.
So you can tell the difference between, not for nothing. I don't know this, but in my opinion, in my brain, there's a difference between what like we do here, like in the States, and like as far as dancehall throughout my life, right? I think that there's a difference between what's here and what's there, right? The American nice dancehall records, and not just making the music, but the actual style of dance. You know, Pioneer River, and how we might pick the commercialized dances versus you can tell the difference in somebody who came from the island and knew how to really, you know what I mean? You
Oh
can
yeah,
see it.
oh yeah, and thankful for like TikTok and Instagram and all these things. Like a lot more people are understanding the roots of it now and like getting into it. But yeah, there is a true passion for that dance and that art, man. It's so much behind it. Like the whole idea of dance hall literally was dancing in a hall. Like,
Really? I mean, it makes super sense, but I don't know why nobody ever actually connect those dots. If that's all dance hall is dancing in the hall, and that's what they did.
well,
Huh.
that was the history. Like you have they'd make one record, right? And everybody would jump on that same beat with your own song. So it's like a 50 people on that one rhythm, right? And then y'all all in a big party, and that's it. Like y'all dancing and you're vibing and you're listening and you're scratching, and that was the vibe. And everyone's dancing together and everyone's vibing, everyone's drinking and having a jolly old time. That's how the idea. That's what dancehall. That's why dancehall like differs from reggae itself, because reggae is more of the true raw conscious Bob Marley, the Peter Tosh, the other ones. There's more of a conscious, not to say you can't dance to it, but it's more of message and morals and conscious. When dancehall, you're out, you're dancing, you're vibing, you're trying to get the girls, you're trying to do this, you're just having euphoric fun, you know, and that's what it was. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you why that makes sense. Fun fact: in a different life, I used to sell CDs. So when I was younger, right now, and mind you, I'm a child of '84 like you.
Yeah.
So we hit this era of bigger ranking and like these CDs, these dance hall CDs that would be like 60 records, 60 songs on the CD. It's still 80 minutes, right? And my brain, I'm from here, so being from the States, my brain would break at like, we got this song, and then I'm listening to. I'm like, wait, the beat is the same beat for like all of these things, but it's not like a group record. It's literally listed 60 songs, like each of them are different on here, and I never knew why until right now. It's because those CDs were made for the actual dance hall. So now this CD is what's going to play at the spot where everybody's going to rock to it, and that's why all these artists are hopping on it like it's a group record, but it's really a group album or mixtape essentially.
Mm-hmm.
For that era, and like it's just interesting to know the history around it, because here we didn't know, like, unless you was from
Yeah.
Jamaica, you
Yeah.
didn't know that's why there's 60 songs on the CD and why
Yeah.
there's 60 artists.
The records was made one record, man, and one side, one record, right? There's an A side and a B side. Like that's it. That's it. Like one record, and it's like, okay, so I made the beat. Okay, so this is it. I made the beat, and I said to an artist, listen to this beat, and every artist hears the beat, and they're like, I want a piece. I want a piece. I want a piece. So like then 10 songs come out on the rhythm, right? And that's why it's like rhythm. Like that's why we are so big on rhythm. You sell CDs, it's like this rhythm and that rhythm and this rhythm, and then this rhythm has 5 or 6 people on it. Some artists even have 2 or 3 songs on the same rhythm sometimes.
Yes,
Shout out to Vibes Cartel and Bounty Killer.
yes. And I'm gonna tell you that the dopest part about this, just kind of more cerebrally, when I look at it and looking at what you do and what you did, not even not from just dance but also poetry, is that world is built in community, right?
Mm.
Dance hall built in community. Hey, now we're all gonna get in here. We're all gonna dance together, even if it's competition wise. It's still all love in community. Even if we're all getting on this song, there's no ego in that. Everybody get on, make yours, make mine. We all gonna rock out. It's in community. So now when you come over to this poetry world, this art world, you're still like, what you mean? Like, grab a pen, it's all community. We all get in here. We all gonna commune, okay, with the art and create something different in the new world. So that's dope to see how that translates to me, at least. Now my big question that I like to ask all my guests, for the most part, is I'd love to ask this question. If you had to give advice to a younger version of yourself, a young Ram Rock, a young, just, you know what I mean? Well, I feel like, what advice would you give to a younger version of Ramon, if you will? But the only caveat to that is younger version of you, but the year is still 2024. What advice would you give?
I think the advice would still be what was imparted from Pops, man. Pop said, "Don't let life happen to you, man. You should happen to life." And it's so simple, but so deep because shit does happen all the time, irregardless. And a lot of it is not planned. Stay steadfast to your dream and just do it. Like you should make a name for yourself. Don't wait for anything else to work. Hard work and hard work and discipline is so important for anything you want to do, art wise, work wise, career wise. Stay steadfast to the end goal. Make sure you have that end goal in sight. I will definitely continue happening to life, as opposed to vice versa. Life is not going to happen to me. We're here for it. We're not here for long. And while we're here, best believe I'm going to grab it by the balls.
Absolutely. Man, I love everything about that. And by the way, and I asked that question because I do believe that there is a young Ramon Carty out there that needed to hear that information. So hopefully putting that in the ethos will help them in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Now I do this on every episode. You've heard me do this thing, but this may be different, maybe not. We'll see what it do. I don't know. I'll give you an option, right? I tell people if you give me a word, I can give you a poem. Because you're the first actual poet I've had on here, I will offer you the option of either giving me a word or giving me a poem that I will respond to or reply to or take into things. So either you can give me a word or you can give me a poem. And either way, I'm going to take it and run with it. While you think, I want to tell the world, by the way, this is Hats Off with G-Jones. Every Thursday, 8:30. Next week, we're going to have somebody new. Next week, I'm actually doing a special episode for Do More 24, where I'm going to be interviewing some of the people who are a part of that 24-hour give-a-thon. So, we're going to talk to the people who are giving back. That's going to be on Tuesday, and then I'm going to still have my regular show on Thursday. So come see me. Also, look for G-Dash update your calendar. Typically around Monday, Tuesday-ish, I need to be a little lockdown, but I'm put that out there. Where I give you all the events that are happening in a reel within the next week or so. And I always will add some of these virtual open mic, these virtual moments here as well. So look out for that. And then see me in person. There's a couple things happening. We're walking into March, but tomorrow it's glow in the dark. Glow in the dark? Glow in the dark. That's a fact. A glow in the dark paint exhibit at MKT Place Gallery. I'm interviewing Velvet Poindexter. Yes, Velvet is a part of the paintings. What? And it's going to glow in the dark. What? This is going to be one of the dopest events of the year just to be at. So come on out, see your boy, MKT Place, see the energy. Barboni's going to be on the ones and twos. Shouts out to Sarah Crawford for putting it together. It's going to be a dope situation. Now, good man, what you got? You got a word? You got a poem? What we doing?
Man, I can't come on here and not give you a poem. You know that, right?
Hey, listen, I just say
I give a lot of words on a weekly basis. I just gave another 8-word prompt out there, so like there's one brewing right now. But listen, I'll give you a poem, and this is kind of like my like this is the Ramrock poem. Like if y'all don't know who I am, this poem will tell you who I am.
Okay. By the way, just so people are aware, because of how I feel this energy is, and I never got the opportunity to set this tone, I might not say nothing else besides, after he goes to the poem, I'm just gonna go into the energy of the response, if you will. Like it's just gonna collide into a collab. That's how I wanted to do it. So let's see.
Who is he? Who is he? A question echoed. He yields history from the scorched emptiness, bowled in bile, a gastric scourge of consequence, the grit and grime scoured from his consistent encounter with grief. He paints the world inconspicuously with language, cascading every dismal experience in black light. The naked eye strains to assemble resonance. The cries echo under muffled breath. The truth concealed in layered lies. His smile beguiles the pain, flickers on his brow. He's a work in progress, turned poet with a burdened tongue, and now they question his intentions, carve out inklings from inflictions. His words were never yours. They are the undigested angst, anchored to a voice, the incessant acid reflux of trauma and observation, the monolith of inaction and stringency, unfiltered and clandestine. He is religion amid remorse, wielding venom from the holy urn of vocabulary, breathing introspection incendiary. He is Negro, spiritual, lamenting amongst the colonists, black, black, but not too black. He doesn't sound like the rest of them black. No baby mama drama black. No shackled to the skewed stereotypical view of ghetto black, gangster black. He is shame black, but inspired by love, fueled by heartbreak, triggered by degradation and injustice. He is an apostle, taking mankind and wisdom and parting crimson seas of introspection, oftentimes epic, sometimes mediocre, but he writes, penning passion into performance and poetry. He's Cupid with a brazen bow, rusty arrows, and no fucking aim, making the same mistakes after repeating heartbreaks, giving than he ever takes. You will remember him.
I'm thinking. Now I know why you know him. It's not because for some reason by the time you're done the interaction, you will automatically owe him, but he will have given something to you. What he will make sure that you receive will also be something that may be hard to believe. And for those who put people like me into a box, he is something that is hard to conceive. See, I need you to understand what he is giving you is not something that he's seeking to retrieve. It's not meant to stay with him. It's not meant to only be in his surroundings. It's meant to be with you while he's leaving you so that you can keep grounded. What he's giving you comes with immaculate spirituality into a way that makes you say, maybe it's them and not me, before you decide to separate from the society only to rejoin in a higher level, showing you a different version of them, you and me. See, the reason why you met him, well, might have been for you to walk in with a level of hatred towards him that you never realized you could feel before, or to remove everything that you've had that hold on to your anxiety, to leave all the things that you feared before. See, the reason why you met him is to meet something that you know now you cannot ignore. The reason why you met him is to meet something in yourself that you shall adore. See, the meet, knowing why the meeting was real, that's the other part. Because knowing why the meeting was real is like to accept the fact that the meeting can lead to you being healed. Knowing why that happens is to know why. Well, I could say that the milk was spilled, but maybe it was spilled, and maybe it's better off pouring off that way than to be drinking and digested, because we know it doesn't come out right anyway. See, you can't let this moment pass, but understand that if you don't and you embody it, maybe it will slim down and trim all the fat. Therefore, it's the gastric bypass. I need you to understand that this moment is meant to last. The reason why you met him was not to feed everything that you thought of as stereotypical, but to also know that there is more than that in everything that you see that is black and concluded to be stereotypical. You only wanted that to be that because that's easier for you to create this box for him to be in, me to be in, and them too. See, I'm not telling you why I met him. I'm telling you why you did. To expand horizons and to understand when writing that there's so many ways to write them, they, there, or this, without being dismissed to the fact that that, them, and them are then able to be dismissed. See, it's able to add you to a list of things that they cannot put in a numerical order. They can't range that. See, it's able for you to find the percentage of you that is nothing but a perfume of the world without being minimized to less than a quarter. Well, understand, I don't know what we have at hand that leads you to be in so much demand, or wherever you go, you know that community can only stand with the unity at the end. But clearly when you walk in, they know that why they met you is because of the presence of them. They don't know that when they met you, it's not just for them to meet you, but it's for you to meet them. See, they don't understand this. They think that it only lies in the pride or the way that the word dances, as if it's only in the music, excuse me, I mean mosaic, but there's a lot of reasons in why this mosaic doesn't seem the same no matter who's looking at it, but that's because of the vantage point when they are actually taking the pen tip, or excuse me, the pencil point to write down everything. And I don't mean to express how I'm broken, but that's just a part of the point. See, they need to know why they met you here today. In this moment, it's all about not just how you speak, but about, well, you heard what they said, that this heart may see, but what that heart does see is a lot of things that it chose to put in paper for people to then read and then allow to be translated through every thought that they have ever had, without realizing that this is still doing nothing but regurgitating the life and words came from, well, your dad, when it said, hey, you can't let life just happen. No. And I don't mean to stutter, but sometimes when you put people up, you know what it's like the first time. They tend to utter those same words, and they're a little bit nervous with the things that they are still trying to contemplate what you've already heard. And this is just how you can try to make them be better without their insecurities, raising to a level that they wind up being disturbed. And that's why it starts with the workshop. That's why it starts with having a prompt. That's why it starts with using these words to allow their skills to raise on, and then all of a sudden we're uncaged on, and now all of a sudden the things that they are doing are being sharper than, well, razor. I don't mean to wrestle with this thought. I just need you to know that where this can go is in a message that you will learn, because it was meant to be like you already are, no longer competing, but now to be the teacher, to show people that they were meant to be here and to learn everything that they have been taught. So that is why they met you. Boom. I can't wait to repost just that part. Like yours in the mind, that's some stuff. Like that was, listen, I don't mean that was fire. This,
That
you
was
just
fire.
came in at the mind, you gotta hear his. Because his in the mind, man, listen. That thing, ooh, that was fire. That was good. That
That
was
was good. That was good.
good. I salute you, sir. Thank you for, the different communities that you put together, uplifting different poets in the arts. And I also want to, salute you for your book and everything that you got coming up. So anything you want to say to people before we get up out of here?
Hey, man, stay tapped in. As I said, I'm all about community. Y'all can catch me on Monday nights, Mus-aic Mondays, 8:30 or 9, depending on what time I get off work. 8:30 or 9 on the Mondays, and we do some prompt writing live on the spot, and we get to share. Wednesdays, y'all can catch, every other Tuesday, y'all can catch me in Six Poet Society Zoom room with Kelly Mary McAllister, who's also a Six Poet, as the host. And I'm there just vibing with y'all as a writing workshop. Also, Vulnerable Vibes with CP Writes, where we come vulnerably and just spill and break and cry and laugh together. Wednesday, it's Gwan. Wednesday in the hump day, y'all come through. No holds barred, open mic, hold a vibe, may read a 1-2 DM. That's it. But big up yourself, everyone. This is Ramrock Speaks, Ramrock from Jamrock, Ramon, whatever y'all want to call me, Ram. Love being here, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for taking your hat off and sharing this space. I love to share this space. Thanks for highlighting us. It's great that someone is also looking beyond the lens that is in front, beyond that black screen, beyond that black mirror, and seeing that there's more to it than that's this poetry thing that we do here. There's more that we're doing, and I'm glad that you're highlighting this section that you said of people who are actually building and doing things outside and just garnering that communal effort. Listen, man, we're stronger together. We've always been. Let's keep pushing. It being the last day of Black History Month, whatever. I'm black every day. So,
Fact.
so I'm black 365, 52 weeks of the year. You know what I mean? Commune together, build together, vibe together. There's so much we can do as a unit. If we can just trust and respect each other. Keep writing, keep sharing, keep inspiring, and keep loving on one another. This is Ramrock Speaks.
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you. And again, thank you, sir, for joining. This is Hats Off with your boy G-Jones. Again, I'll see y'all next week, 8:30. With that said, love yourself and everything else will fall into place. All right. Have a great day, y'all.
All right, take care.